and welcome back to the DoneDeal YouTube channel. Today we're reviewing this rather flamboyant car. It is the Volkswagen T-Cross and this is the McKenna turquoise, which actually kind of adds character to the whole car. But enough about the colour, what about the T-Cross itself? Well, effectively this is a Volkswagen Polo on steroids, kind of made an SUV-esque type car. Prices start at just over 23,000. However, for this R line you're looking to pay, with a few extras, maybe upwards of 30,000 euros. So let's see what you get for that. We're going to check out the boot and then make our way through the car. When you come to the back of the T-Cross, one thing that stands out massively is this light strip along the back. It looks really premium. It looks very like an Audi. Now when you open up the T-Cross, you'll be surprised at the size of the boot. To put it in perspective, a Volkswagen Golf has 380 litres. Now this is based off the Polo, but still has 385 litres, so it's a massive boot, and we'll get more on that in a minute. But let's talk about functionality. It's got tethering points, and in here you've got a lot of storage for a spare wheel, which is brilliant as we're a big fan of spare wheels here on the DoneDeal YouTube channel, mainly for safety. Now this is a false floor and you can actually lower the level. However, this has the upgraded Beats sound system, so there's an amp here which doesn't allow that to happen, but if you don't have that you can lower the floor. What's more is, if you're working with a spare wheel, you can just click up that floor right there and it stays out of your way. So to expand a little bit on that boot, the boot itself does also expand. So if you pull this lever here, the Volkswagen T-Cross party piece comes into play and you increase the size from 385 to 455 litres. However, if you're going to have rear passengers, you're probably going to want to leave it back to get some nice bit of knee space. There's actually decent headroom. I mean, it's not massive, but if you're to compare it to a Polo, it's in a completely different league in terms of comfort and space back here. It is quite narrow, so having 3 adults is a tight squeeze. In terms of creature comforts, you've got massive door bins, you've got a bit of storage in here, tiny bit of storage there for a phone, 2 USB ports, and the other thing that's obviously very important when you get into a car is there is ISOFIX points, very easily accessible. Another thing that's actually very cool is if I actually pull this seat forward, you can clip your seatbelt behind that. So what just happened to me there, where the seatbelt was stuck behind the seat, doesn't happen to you. As we open up the driver's door, it's keyless entry, but that is an extra that's going to cost you 420 euros. It's up to you whether you think it's worth having. Personally, I probably wouldn't go for it. Now, let's start the review by talking about what it feels like to sit in this driver's seat. So these are the R-line seats. You can see there's a bit of badging. There's nice bolsters there and lumbar support comes as standard. Steering wheel is very adjustable. In fact, the whole seat being a Volkswagen, you can get into that perfect position. Now in terms of storage, you have a decent sized glove box. You have a CD player though, and don't really know what that's doing there, but it eats into the glove box space. Other practicality, you've got a nice little center console there. I love this on the Volkswagen Group cars. Basically you can adjust your armrest and have it in a nice comfortable place. Big door bins for your drinks, 2 drink holders here. They don't actually fit a large bottle, which is a shame, but they are nice and handy. You've actually got a little secret compartment here under the driver's seat, and there's a nice little bay there for your phone, which on this particular car has wireless charging. The infotainment system, being a Volkswagen, means it works, and it works very, very well. So this has got an 8-inch screen, as you can see here. The touch, very, very decent. It's very, very responsive. Now this has an upgraded Sat-Nav that costs over 600 euro. However, if you get anything above the base model, it will come with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and in my opinion, if I can get it plugged in correctly, it is unbeatable. So as you can see, it takes a second to connect to the car, and then you've got all your apps, including Google Maps, which is sensational. So once a car has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, it ticks the box for infotainment system. You also have, on this R-line version, you have the digital dash, and this is kind of the way the future is going in cars. You're seeing it a lot more cars, and it's brilliant. So obviously you can actually put your maps up here. If you switch between here, you can see you can select your navigation, you can select your radio, you have all your vehicle status, everything is there in front of you. So it's nice to have the 2 screens, and it kind of gives the car a very premium feel. Now to actually drive the T-Cross. Naturally, when you step into it, you feel like comparing it to the Polo. However, I think that's an unfair comparison as it is more of an SUV. So instead, we'll compare it to a Peugeot 2008 or even something like a Seat Arona, which we've had on the YouTube channel before, and we were actually massive fans. Now, in terms of engines, so there's diesel engines available, there's a 1.6 95 brake horsepower one, but there's also this 1 litre TSI which puts out 115 brake horsepower, and it is the perfect engine. Now, I will say it's very loud. It's not very quiet. As you put your foot down, it's loud, but not in like a nice petrol loud way, almost instead in a 3-cylinder petrol way. In terms of gearbox, now this gearbox, phenomenal. It's the DSG, it's the across the board in the Volkswagen group, and it's fantastic. It's very responsive, it's easy to use, and it only costs 1,900 euros to upgrade to, and it's 1,900 euros well worth upgrading, as it will really hold its value down the line. Now, how does it handle? Because handling is so important. Well, first of all, this car is going to spend most of its life in the city, and over speed bumps and through potholes, the suspension's really soft, it's really easy to drive, the turning circle is fantastic. Then when you take it onto some country roads, again, it floats over any bumps in the road, and it is reasonable when it comes to handling. When you turn it around a corner, you're not directly connected to the wheels, but it does handle with kind of ease, I will say, and it definitely is an enjoyable car to drive. Now, I could continue to bore you with the facts and the figures, like it uses 6.3 litres to travel 100 kilometres, or that it costs 200 euros a year to tax. However, instead, I want to talk about the character, because the character of a car is, in my opinion, the most important thing when purchasing a car, and this car has so much of it. So not because it's got that McKenna turquoise metallic paint, but actually I just think the car as a whole, the way it drives, the way it's kind of a perky Polo, is very interesting, and it adds a huge amount of value to it. Just like every car we review on the DoneDeal YouTube channel, we talk about 3 of our favourite and 3 of our least favourite things. So let's start with the latter. And now, first up is, for some reason, now this car, bearing in mind, does have 18,000 kilometres. It's been a press car for nearly a year, but there's a small rattle up here. And I know that's probably a prima donna thing to say, but this little rattle has frustrated me. And unfortunately, it's going to be nearly impossible for me to show it on camera, but just take my word for it. Number 2 is the placement of the DSG gearbox and how it works. So in every other DSG car I've ever driven, you push it away to go into manual. However, in this car, you pull it in towards you. Now, this doesn't seem like a massive problem. However, when I'm driving, I keep accidentally flicking it into manual and then wondering why I'm revving like crazy. And number 3 on our least favourite things is the lane assist. Now, don't get me wrong, it's great that the lane assist is there and it does work. However, every time you turn on the car, it resets to being on. Now, should you be like me and you live on some country roads, often you might end up having to cross the middle of the line, and the steering wheel will shake and it fights it a little bit, and it just can be a little bit frustrating. I know that is a very small pet peeve, but I was struggling to find anything bigger. Now, it's not all bad for the T-Cross. In fact, here are 3 of our favourite things. Number 1 being that every single T-Cross comes as standard with accident avoidance system and pedestrian recognition. So should you, for whatever reason, not see an incident coming, it will react by beeping and then braking to avoid low speed collisions. Now, the oil line comes with privacy glass as standard, but I also really like that the windows go flush, and I think the kids are going to love that when they're trying to take in the scenery of the Irish mountains. And last but not least is the quality of the reversing camera. As you can see when I get really close, the quality is very good. Now that's only going to cost you €314.98, and it's €314.98 very well spent. Well, there you have it. That is DoneDeal's review of the Volkswagen T-Cross. A very enjoyable car with lots of character. However, it is worth looking at the rest of the cars in the market. Something like the SKoda Polar might be a bit more bang for your buck. However, in saying that, you can get this on finance from as little as about €270 a month. But for now, thank you so much for watching. If you have any experience with the T-Cross, if you've ever owned one, driven one, rented one, we'd love to hear from you in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video.